Hi friends, thanks for tuning in. It's me, we're on the homestead. Today, right now, I need to work on my pickup truck. So if you have an older Ford pickup or full-size car like a Crown Victoria, Lincoln Marquis, something like that, and it has a 4.6 or a 5.4 liter V8 in it, those are coil on plug engines. So each spark plug on the top of the motor has its own coil. Those coils are prone to fail at or around 90 to 100,000 miles. Well, my old truck has got 270,000 miles, 260,000 miles on it, and I'm working on my second set of coils now. Now, I only replace them one at a time because it's a huge hassle to replace a few of them. On the way to the homestead the other day, last week actually, on the way to the homestead last week, I lost a coil. Now, if I was to start it up right now, it would be running on all 8 cylinders, no problem. But as soon as it warms up, it creates a short in the coil, and that cylinder doesn't fire. Now, I've run my test meter on it, or OBD2 meter on it, and it tells me that it's cylinder number 8, which is the driver's side all the way back under the cowl. So not the hardest one, but really close. Anyway, we're taking the truck home tomorrow. So rather than wait till tomorrow morning to work on it, I'm going to work on it now. Now I have new coil. Every time one goes out, I order another one so that I always have one in stock in the back of my truck, along with a specialized little toolkit that I use just for changing the coil. Anyway, so I'm going to show you, if I can, roughly where it is. It's going to be hard to see, but let's get on with this. Let me see if I can shine a light on it. The coil is located right there. And you can see it's got these fuel lines that run over the top of it, and the bolt that holds it in is right there. And I think it's a clear shot to get to it. The hardest coil is the one right in front of it, and you can't see that one because it's good and buried. But this one I think we can do. I think I need a better magnet. Yeah, that'll work. Maybe. There we go. Now we need to unplug the coil. This wire here. Unfortunately, the clip to do that is underneath it. So if you look, there's a little nub right there. You have to push up on that, and it will release the clip. And there's our coil right there. I'm going to remove the air horn cover so that I can get to this big vacuum line and unplug it. So I can pull it out of the way. It'll make it a lot easier to get to the coil. You just unplug it, it slips into a rubber adapter here, and then just pull it out of the way so you can have room and see what you're doing. It's hard to see it, but the coil is located back underneath the cowling. It's the furthest back cylinder on the engine. The coil is held in by a 7mm bolt that bolts through a single eyelet on the back side of the coil. You can't see it. You kind of have to feel for it. In this particular instance, it's on the back side of the high pressure fuel rails coming into the the fuel injection system. One thing you want to make sure you don't do is drop that bolt right there. If you drop it, you're going to have a hard time finding it again. Once you get the bolt out, you simply have to pull the coil up out of that position. You need to be very careful though. Sometimes the rubber boot gets stuck on the spark plug. If it does, just get a pair of needle nose pliers and you should be able to get it out. One thing I noticed when I pulled the coil out was the end of the plug boot was very wet. That meant there was a bunch of water got down in that cylinder hole where the spark plug is. Water itself can cause a misfire. This has happened once before on this particular truck, and I don't know how the water is getting in there, but it does occasionally. Sometimes it's after a rain. The other time it did it, I don't remember if it was after a rain or not, but you have to get that dried out. One of the things I'm going to try to do is spray some brake clean down inside there and see if that will help evaporate some of the water. I've never tried it before, but I figured it was worth a shot. Didn't figure it could make it any worse. After spraying it down in there, I realized that that was kind of a mistake. So now I've got some shop rags, paper towels, and a screwdriver, and I'm stuffing them down in the hole to get as much of that water out of there as I can so that when I install the new coil, I don't have the same problem. So since I've already pulled that coil out, and I'm not sure if it's good or not, I could run a test meter on it. It may show it's just fine. The only way to really know would be to put it over some steaming water and get it good and hot and see if the ohms change. I already have a brand new coil right here, so I'm going to put it on. I'm already there, might as well. These things are inexpensive. I've purchased the expensive ones. I've bought the cheap ones. Oh, I bought 2 coils. Yeah, good for me. I have another spare. There you go. Looks exactly like the one I just took out. There's inside there, I don't know if you can see, is the spring that goes around the spark plug tip. You want to make sure that you put some grease on that so that it doesn't get corroded. This here's the dielectric grease. They send it with you with the coil, and we just got to put that little sucker back on. All right. It gives a very subtle click, or you can feel it go on the plug. Once you do that, you have to find that little bolt I told you not to lose or drop. One thing you want to make sure you do is put a little anti-seize on the threads. You can see it's got a little bit left over from the last time I changed the coil. Doesn't take much. Doesn't go in there that far. But you want to make sure you put that on there because it's a steel bolt going into an aluminum manifold. And you will get, or you can get, corrosive issues, and those suckers will pretty much weld themselves together. Again, you don't want to drop this bolt. Would be nice to have 3 hands about now. I hope that went in, because if it didn't, I just dropped that bolt. Alright, it's in the coil. Good. Now I got to get that started. That's tight. The other place you want to put a little bit of that dielectric grease is where it plugs in to the coil and the wire. And I'll show you. Find it. There it is, right there. Put a little tiny bit, just to make sure you don't get any corrosion buildup. Then you want to plug that back in on that coil, just like you took it off. Now we're going to start it up and see if it has a miss. Of course it has a miss. I didn't plug this big vacuum line back in. Now we'll try it. Okay. No miss, no fuss, no muss. Put the cover back on it and call it done. Okay. Well, that's all there is to it. This one happened to be one that was pretty easy to get to. So we thank God for that. If you run across this problem and don't want to take it to a shop and pay them $150 or whatever to just diagnose it, go down to your local Craigen's or Harbor Freight or one of those places and buy an OBD2 scan tool, read the directions, plug it in, follow along like it says to, and it at least leads you to what is not necessarily what's causing the issue, but what the issue might be. For instance, on this one, when it starts missing a cylinder, I know what it is because I've had this truck since 2005. I just know my truck. But it does tell me which cylinder is missing, which cylinder has a misfire. So I know to go to that cylinder, and it's either the plug or the coil. So, and if you have one of these motors, the 4.6 or the 5.4, know that you need to, if you're going to change your spark plugs yourself, you're going to need to get a special socket to do that. They sit way down deep in there, and it's very narrow. It takes a thin-walled socket that's very long, and it has to have a gripper in it, or when you pull the socket out, the plug won't come with it, and you'll have to fish for it. It's kind of difficult. This one went pretty smooth. Good for us, yay. And now I just need to take that same OBD2 reader and clear the engine codes that shows the number 8 misfire. And when you do that, if you clear the codes on your engine rather, know that it has to go through a cycle, a drive cycle, to get all the codes back up. So what you don't want to do is clear all your codes, fix the problem, clear all your codes, and then take it down to have a smog test done on it, because there's sensors in there that have to clear, and they have to go through certain drive cycles to do that. Some of those you have to drive 30, 40, 50 miles in traffic to get to clear that one sensor. So you want to make sure if you're going to do something like that you don't have a smog test coming up real soon, because you're going to want to drive it for 3 or 4 days on the road, just normal driving, to get to clear all of those sensors, so that when you go to the smog place, it's not going to show that there's an issue. Anyway, I hope it was at least a little bit educational for you. No instructor, clearly, and I don't have fine camera equipment to get you right down in there. But I did the best I could. I hope it was helpful. God bless you. Thanks for hanging out on the homestead. Bye now.